Hi, everybody. We are going to talk today about a company that's called CVTech. And we have here today Mr. Francois Cordeau that is not working actually right now for the company, but he's going to talk on behalf of Mr. Guy Aubert, which is a member of the board. But Mr. Cordeau could become a member of the board because Mr. Aubert, that was in a previous interview, told us that he wanted Mr. Cordeau to join the rank of the board as many other people. Mr. Cordeau, good day.
Thank you. Good day.
Okay, so if we talk a little bit about this company, I'm missing some information right here. Okay, there it is. CVTech Group, as it says, is regrouping a few companies, but there are quite a few small ones and one big one.
Right.
And CVTech did bought the Tiro Limited company at 100% 5 years ago, and Mr. Aubert was the president of this company. So the company CVTech bought Tiro. But then, as per today, Tiro is still represent 92% of the revenue of CVTech.
That's correct.
So all of the other divisions only represent 8% of the revenues.
That's correct.
Of the earnings. So, why is that? First of all, what is Tiro compared to the other divisions?
Okay. Well, CVTech is a holding company which has two divisions. CVT, which make variable clutches, and Tiro, which is the energy sector company. Tiro is mostly into the maintenance, construction of transmission line, distribution line, electrical lines, and building of substations. And that represents 92% of the revenues.
So I hardly see the match when CVTech decided to buy Tiro, which is in electricity transmission lines, and CVTech, which was building clutches like for skidoos and VTTs and things like that. So what was the match there?
Well, it's hard for me to respond because I wasn't there in 2005, but I understand from Mr. Aubert that the Tiro division was purchased in order to build a more important company because CVTech wanted to go public.
Okay.
So they purchased a company before, and about a year later, they went public on the TSX. And later on, they did a number of other acquisitions, some in the CVT clutch division, but most importantly, they did a big one in the US in 2009, which brought another $125 million revenues.
Okay, but in the same energy sector
yes.
as Tiro was.
Yeah.
So for Mr. Robert, it is the type of division that should grow better. The clutch side is not working very well, and there's more potential on the energy side.
Well, exactly. From a revenue point of view, the clutch division has been stagnating, being break-even or losing money for the last 3 years. CVT management was unable to close a deal with Tata in India that would have made that division very, very successful and very financially very, very, very well. So when that deal fell through, I think everybody agrees, including current management, that there's not a real future with that company within the CVTech group holding. So that division has been put for sale now for a while. And we agree with that.
So we don't see that very, very often, but now we have someone here from the board that is saying that is not happy with the actual board is doing. So can you explain us what are the criticism?
Yeah, well, Mr. Aubert is on the board, and in the last maybe year or month, I've seen that it's not really going the way it should be going. First of all, if you look at the stock price for the last 3 years, it went down 25%, while if you look at the comparables, which are publicly traded, they went up 18%. So
it's the lowest since 2007.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the current board and management have promised 2 or 3 years ago that they were building a company that would go to $1 billion, and they're still at $250 million. There's no growth really. And there's no real acquisition on the table because since 2009, no acquisitions have been made by this company. Mr. Aubert really wanted to have a board which would be much more proactive, going after acquisitions so that we can accelerate the growth of this organization and focus on the energy sector.
So the 3 points about the criticisms are poor acquisitions, no deal finally with Tata Motor, and missing a revenues target.
Yeah, and actually Mr. Aubert points out as well is that a lot of expenses seems to have ballooned in the last 3 years, even though revenues have increased with the acquisition of Riggs Distler in the US, G&A has increased even more rapidly than the growth of revenue. So he's very concerned about that.
So, he's also mentioning big salary advantages there, like they would represent for the president and CEO and some other people. I don't know how many people that involves, but they're talking about 18.5% of the.
Yeah, Mr. Aubert has done some analysis
revenue.
that seems to show that the executive salary seems to be not in line with the profit being generated, and he's raising that point as an opportunity to reduce costs again.
But usually the management should get more money if the company gets more.
Well, yeah, exactly. If the profit is more, right?
If the profit is more.
Yeah. So you'd like to have a plan which has a big variable part, so that if you do well, you pay well.
And what are the solutions Mr. Robert proposing?
Well, Mr. Robert is proposing a new board, which, in addition to him, has 6 new members.
And the first name there is yours.
Well, it's just because the letter is C. But six of the members, which have quite a lot of experience in various fields. Many members have been on board of public companies. I have been on board of public companies. Other members have been CEO of public companies. I have been CEO of a public company, other members too. We bring people with significant experience in financing, in construction, in engineering, in insurance, which is a major component of that business. So a well-diverse, very complementary set of skills around the table so that we can provide more energy
So he wants to bring more experience on the board and people that can really have an impact in making the company to grow.
And I've demonstrated that they can provide results.
Yeah, because I see beside you that you work for Capital Technology Venture from a division of Caisse de dépôt du Québec.
The last 7 years I've been CEO of Rocktes, a publicly traded company as well.
And there's Mr. Potvin, which is a former, Louis Potvin, which is a former portfolio management with the FTQ.
Yeah.
So gives a good lead there at the FTQ, which is the largest actual shareholder.
Yeah, it has about 23% shareholding.
Yeah, that's a lot. And George Rossi and Jean-Denis Talon and Pierre Turcotte. So all guys that were involved in technologies mostly.
Yep.
And that's what the company is all about.
Very knowledgeable people, good track record, good experience.
Right now. So besides the change, you're looking forward for new acquisitions?
Yeah, definitely. I think we believe the new board will be much more proactive at looking at other acquisitions. We'll have a renewed eye on the selection criteria for new acquisitions, and could even look at some value acquisitions because there's experience around the table on turnarounds and integration of acquisition companies.
So Mr. Robert seems to be telling that the company is like slowly falling asleep right now and is not aggressive enough and does not target the right thing.
Well, I think Mr. Aubert really wants to put some new blood with some new trust in growing this organization. And sometimes in any organization, new blood is what really is needed. It doesn't mean necessarily that the people there are bad. It just means that you need fresh ideas and new ideas around the table. And
saying that, and knowing the Solidarity Fund owns almost 24% of the company, and Mr. Robert owns presently 13.8%. So that's 46. It's almost half of the company, those two.
Almost.
So does Mr. Aubert have a shoulder there at the Solidarity Fund?
I would not want to talk on their behalf. However, I can tell you that we have other shareholders and even some management people who are supportive of this action.
So don't you think it should be the first target? It's to get approval from some of the FT Solidarity Fund and say, okay, we all want some changes, so we'll put some more pressure.
We'll be talking to them soon.
Okay, I think it's a good idea because it's a really big player in there. Because other than that, there's another guy here. Well, the thing is, it's the president and CEO that owns 10.8%.
Yes.
So he's got one end of the stick. So you really have to match all of the big shareholders together. Because I think that's what happened. Is because the guy owns a big chunk, which is 10.8 for the president and CEO is big enough also.
That's a big chunk.
And it's hard to reverse a guy like that. So you need a lot of power to do that. Yeah. I don't think he'll be very happy seeing this interview, though.
Well, I can't comment on that.
No, but I think it's the price to pay. Someone has to defend the best interest of the shareholder, and I think if we are now at this point, it's because some discussion may have happened before.
Something is not happening for sure. But as you said, it's a great company. It's in a great area. With Plan R here in Quebec, there will be explosion of work there.
There are planned construction, power line planned already, and there
power
will
lines,
be other because they got to hook up the whole northern Quebec.
Exactly.
And there are electricity lines needed everywhere in the world. So I think it could grow on not only here in Quebec and in the states around, but maybe somewhere else in the world.
Smart grid initiatives in the U.S. All potential markets for CVTech.
But I think because mostly a couple of years ago, the most important customer of T-CVH company was Hydro-Quebec. So T-CVH has made a lot of power line for Hydro.
Right. Yeah. And I believe Hydro-Quebec is no longer the #1 customer because the company has diversified in the U.S. It has now some very large U.S. customers.
Yeah, but you cannot rely only in the province of Quebec. No. When you have that sort of technology, you can apply it to other places.
Exactly.
And the know-how is always worth something.
Yeah, definitely.
And okay, so I hope then the next time we talk to you, it's going to be as a part of the member of the board.
Do I get your vote?
I do.
Good.
Yeah, you do. You can count on my vote so far, and I'll be watching the stock as well because I've noticed recently some abnormal activity there on the stock, which is not usually trading a lot. It's very calm stock, and there was an average of about 300,000 shares traded over the last few days. So we can clearly see that someone came out and someone came in.
Yep.
The only question is, it's usually one buyer or sellers, and on the other side multiple buyer or seller. So is it the one that is the big one? Was it the buyer or the seller? That's what I'd like to know in there. But definitely something is going on there in preparation of something. We can
that was since the announcement by Mr. Aubert.
Yeah. The criticism are foaming right now in the company. So changes are maybe near. So there might be some movement of stock because all of our viewers there only care about one thing: will this stock go up?
Yeah, it will. Under new management, it will.
Okay. So, Mr. Cordeau, thank you very much for giving us this interview.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.